Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tito Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasdev, the author. अष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, verse 17 and 18. तन्नापरं पुण्यमसंवृतार्थम् आख्यानाम् अत्यभूतयोगनिष्ठम्. कौन सा है? अख्या अनन्तचारितोपपानम् परीक्षितं भगवताभिरामम् तन्नापरं पुण्यसंवर्तार्थम् आख्यानाम् अत्यभूतयोगनिष्ठम्. आख्याय अनन्ताचरितोपपन्नम् परीक्षितानां भगवताभिरामम् तन्नापरं पुण्य असंवृतार्थम् आख्यानाम् अत्यभूतयोगनिष्ठम्. आख्या अनन्ताचरितोपपन्नम् परीक्षितानां भगवताभिरामम्. Synonyms together. Tat therefore na unto us, param supreme, punyam purifying, asamvrita artham as it is, akhyanam narration, ati very, adbhuta wonderful, yoganishtam compact in bhakti yoga, akhyayi described, ananta the unlimited, acharita activities, upapanam full of Parikshitam spoken to Parikshit Bhagavata of the pure devotees, Abhiramam particularly very dear. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thus, please narrate to us the narrations of the unlimited, for they are purifying and supreme. They were spoken to Maharaj Parikshit, and they are very dear to the pure devotees, being full of bhakti yoga. What was spoken to Maharaj Parikshit and what is very dear to the pure devotees is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is mainly full of narrations of the activities of the Supreme Unlimited, and therefore it is the science of Bhakti Yoga or the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, it is Para or Supreme, because although it is enriched with all knowledge and religion, it is specifically enriched with devotional service of the Lord. As we all know, Bhagavatam is known as the ripened fruit of all the Vedic knowledge, right? There are different analogies given to different Vedic literature, right? Like for Bhagavad Gita, it is said that it is the condensed milk of all the Shastras, and Krishna is like the cowherd who is milking the cow, and then it's the condensed form of milk that Krishna is given. And here we see that Bhagavatam is pretty much by far the favorite of many devotees. In fact, all the devotees, you could say, and that is kind of the ripened fruit. One of the reasons why there are many reasons, of course, why people love Bhagavatam, and one of the reasons is that it shows by example, right? All the narrations until at least like the ninth canto, yeah, you could say that there are so many examples of devotees how they have been in their lives and how they have taken to devotional service. And there are many common themes, but what is one of the common themes that we can relate to very easily? Yeah, in the Bhagavatam. People? Okay, very nice. What else? Uh, yeah, yeah, that's what I was looking for. No matter who you are, it does not matter. No, you can't get away with what you want to. There's no other way. This is the only way. And then Bhagavad talks about this, kings like many kings, so it always catches the kind of the cream of the society, like if this can happen to a king, then who am I to uh, think that I could get away with it, right? And that is in fact one of the reasons why we see that now and as well as in the past, the preaching effort or the even Srila Prabhupada when he came to America, the reason he came to America, and when the reason for preaching in English, everything is like top-down approach, right? He's trying to get the people in all walks of life, but he's also targeting the top cream, right? Because yeah, the Achari says that tatrat yovitaro jana, right? Whatever great people do, common man follow, and so Srila Prabhupada, um, like in the Bhagavatam, wants to set the record straight so that we as common people can follow it. We'll see the next verse as well. Sutta uvacha अहो वयं जन्मभृतोऽद्यथंसा वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोमजाता दुष्कुलम् अधिं विधुनोति शीघ्रं महत्तामानम् अभिधानयोगा. The synonyms. Sutta Uvacha, Sutta Goswami said, Aho, how vayam we, Janmabhrita, promoted in birth, Adya today, ha, clearly, Asma, have become Vridha Anuvritya, serving those who are advanced in knowledge. Api, although Viloma Jata, born in a mixed caste, Dushkulam, disqualification of birth, Adhim, suffering, Vidhunoti, purifies, Shigram, very soon, Mahattamanam, of those who are great, Abhidhana, conversation, yoga, connection. Translation. Sri Sutta Goswami said, O God, although we are born in a mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can without delay cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower birth. Purport. So the Goswami did not take his birth in a Brahmana family. He was born in a family of mixed caste or an uncultured low family. But because of higher association like Sri Sukdev Goswami and the great rishis of Naimisharanya, certainly the disqualification of inferior birth was washed off. Lord Sri, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed this principle in pursuance of Vedic usages, and by his transcendental association, he elevated many low-born or those disqualified by birth or action to the status of devotional service and established them in the position of acharyas or authorities. And this is in line with what Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita, um, that qualification is, or one being Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, is not based on birth. It's based on the verse. Yeah, Chaturvarnya Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhagasa. Right? Krishna says that Chaturvarnya, this Chaturvarna system, Maya system means I'm giving this system, right? Which is based on Guna and Karma. Not, he doesn't say Janma and Janma and Karma or what, something like it. So there is no usage of Janma. That's why we see that, and one of the famous personalities in recent time to do that was Srila Prabhupada, right? When he came to the West and other places also, he elevated people, right from any walk of life they were, whether they were uncultured, low-born, hippies to happies, or Malechas, Shudras to Brahmanas, or even higher than that to devotees, right? Devotees is even higher. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we'll see probably an example here. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also did that, wherein, he made Haridas Thakur, who is essentially of a so-called low-born caste, and he made him the Namacharya. Right? And there are many other examples that uh, we see that talk to this, that people who are, although not qualified, were given the opportunity by means of devotional service to attain the highest platform. He elevated many low-born or those disqualified by birth or action to the status of devotional service and established them as position of acharyas or authorities. He clearly stated that any man, whatever he may be, whether a Brahmana or Shudra by birth, or a householder or mendicant in the order of society, If he is conversant with the science of Krishna, he can be accepted as an acharya or guru, or spiritual master. Although Prabhupada did that, he had a lot of backlash from his god brothers initially, and when devotees traveled back to India, he had a lot of he faced a lot of heat for doing that. But that's one of the things that I see from Srila Prabhupada's life. When you know you're doing the right thing, and when it is backed by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, then you have the power and intensity to do it irrespective. You don't then think about what will people say, or will my image be tarnished, or what will be the consequences of this. When you know that this is right and in line with shastras, then it gives you courage, right, to do that. Can we think of any other examples that that we can see in this case? Anyone's? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He got punished too by Maharaj. Yeah. Right. And who else? Well, in one sense, um, kind of antagonistically, Bhishma Dev also. He knew that his images. Huh? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that is one example that what happens if you don't get married, right? For all the grastas out there, right? So don't be fanatic about it. You can drive your whole generation to ground if you don't get married, right? But in one sense, like Bhishma Dev he was a pure devotee, right? He's a Mahajan, and he knew that um, I'm standing opposite to Krishna, and I'm doing this as a service. He did what he did throughout his life, knowing that his image is going to be tarnished. People are going to talk that you stood there, seeing everything, and he's like, well, this is a service. I'll still do it. So that's another example. So we see that time and again there are many people who, by the mercy and power from Shastras, are able to do what they did because they knew that it was in line with the teachings of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, the wives. Yeah, which is a big thing, right? I mean, how can you just? Yep. Yeah. Thank you. You're touching the toppest example. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't care. Well, obviously, that is like pure love. They didn't even bother about Shastra, what Shastra said. Well, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yeah. So he had the double association. Where were we? Yeah. So he had the double association of great souls by hearing and preaching. Transcendental science, or the science of Krishna, has to be learned from the authorities, and when one preaches the science, he becomes still more qualified. So, oh, really? Oh, oh, oh. Okay, okay, Oh, thank you. I probably scrolled down. That's what I was thinking, a little bit off context. Okay, we'll pick it up from here. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed this principle in pursuance of Vedic usages, and by his transcendental association, he elevated many low-born or those disqualified by birth or action to the status of devotional service and established them in the position of acharyas or authorities. He clearly stated that any man, whatever he may be, whether a brahmana or shudra by birth, or a householder or mendicant in the order of society, if he is conversant with the science of Krishna, he can be accepted as an acharya or guru, a spiritual master. Sutta Goswami learned the science of Krishna from great rishis and authorities like Shukdev Goswami and Vyasadeva. And he was so qualified that even the sages of Naimisharanya eagerly wanted to hear from him the science of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Obviously, he had a very learned father also, but who committed an offense. But we do see that, he got obviously probably got Shastri knowledge from his father also. So he had double association of great souls by hearing and preaching. Transcendental science or the science of Krishna has to be learned from authorities, and when one preaches the science, he becomes still more qualified. Sutta Goswami had both the advantages, and thus doubly he was completely freed from all disqualifications of low birth and mental agonies. This verse definitely proves that Srila Sukdev Goswami did not refuse to teach Sutta Goswami about the transcendental science, nor did the sages of Naimisharanya refuse to hear lessons from him because of his inferior birth. This means that thousands of years ago there was no bar to learning or preaching the transcendental science because of inferior birth. The rigidity of the so-called caste system in Hindu society became prominent within only 100 years or so when the number of Dvijabandhus or qualified men in the families of higher caste increased. So Dvijabandhu is another word for like false brahmana. Prabhupada says, Jai Shri Maharaj ki Bhagwan ki Jai. Lord Chaitanya revived the original Vedic system and he elevated Thakur Haridas to the position of Namacharya or the authority in preaching the glories of the holy name of the Lord. Although His Holiness Sri Haridas Thakur was pleased to appear in a family of Mohammedans. And we see like another prominent example that comes to mind is Jagai and Madai, right? When they got mercy, after that, Mahaprabhu said that no one should judge them from now on. They're all my associates, and they should be taken to be so, right? And we see that many thousands of devotees, even till today, are going to the samadhi of Jagai Madai, right? So, what were they, and then what did they become in by being in association of Nityanand Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya, right? Such is the power of pure devotees of the Lord. The Ganges water is accepted as pure, and one can become purified after taking a bath in the waters of the Ganges. But as far as the great devotees of the Lord are concerned, they can purify a degraded soul even by being seen by a lowborn. And what to speak of association? Or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to purify the whole atmosphere of the polluted world by sending qualified preachers all over the world, and it remains with the Indians to take up this task scientifically and thus to do the best of humanitarian work. The mental diseases of the present generation are more acute than bodily diseases. It is quite fit and proper to take up the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world without delay. Srila Prabhupada is talking about this in like the late 60s. And now today, one in America, 1 in 5 person has a mental disease, some or the other, ADHD or anxiety, depression, you name it. 1 in 5 have it. Um, and there are so many, um, there's a whole department set up, especially in the university, which is called the Disability Resource or DS something, DRSL or Disability Resources, and whatever that is. So what students can go there and show that they need special accommodations due to some reasons, whether that they are physical health or mental health, then faculties are required to accommodate them into their coursework, right? And I've been getting so many of those, some accommodations, and many of those have been related to um, mental health, right? Oh, I'm experiencing this, or I need time off because this happened. So many of it is, as Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here, is mental. And just imagine this is like 1968 and we are in 2026. So true. Um, Mental diseases of the present generation are more acute than bodily diseases. It is quite fit and proper to take up preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world without delay. I wish I could tell them that. You don't need a report from disability services. Hey, come, yeah, you come here, take this blue book and read it, and you would have never to go to any other disability services again. um, Mahatmanam Abhidhanam also means dictionary of great devotees or a book full of words of great devotees. Such a dictionary of the words of great devotees and those of the Lord are in the Vedas and allied literatures, specifically the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's also the appearance of Shamananda Pandit today. So we'll discuss the pastime a little bit. The pastime, Shamananda Pandit. You want to share something, Prabhu? So there was a great uh, devotee in West Bengal, and his parents. He was born after um, two preceding children who didn't make it. So back then the custom was like um, just because destiny has done so in the past and they wanted this child to live, they would name this child the like Dukhi, the unhappy one, so that Yamraj will have pity and leave the child alone, right? um, but um, this child, was um, Dukhi, born to parents, was immediately taken to Krishna consciousness and took great interest. And as he grew, it was time for his initiation. And then when his parents asked that now it's time for initiation, and then he said, "Yes, I exactly know whom I want initiation from." And he took initiation from a famous personality called Hridoy Chaitanya. And we see that this um, there's another whole pastime about Hridoy Chaitanya, right? How he um, uh, argued in one sense with the Lord to uh, to make the Lord be with him. You know the pastime, right? Of Hridoy Chaitanya, huh? Rusty. So what happens is Lord Chaitanya, due to I'll cut it short because we were talking about Shaman Pandit, but um, Lord Chaitanya comes to him like because of his obviously he's a pure devotee, and then when Lord comes to him, he reciprocates with him, and then Lord says, "Well, I have to go now. That I've come taken prasad with you. I have to go now, and I have to spread the whole mission." So, but then he says, "No, I want you to be with me." Then the Lord said, "Okay, then I will manifest as a deity, and then you can, the deity is not different from me, then you can keep the deity, and then I can do my service." And says, "Okay, that's fine." And then, Lord manifests his deity as Chaitanya, and then Lord says, "Okay, well, I'm going." And then Hridayachandra says, no, no, you wait. And if you say that the deity is not different from you, then you wait and let the deity go. So then the deity starts walking. Then he says, no, no, no. Well, the deity be there and then you can go. And this goes back and forth. And finally, Lord stays there. And then one fine day, I don't know, I don't remember the name, but there's a huge Sankirtan going on. And the deities of Hriday Chaitanya, they feel ecstasy and they leave the altar and they go join the Sankirtan, right? And when Hriday Chaitanya comes back and sees like, where are they? Where are my deities? And then he comes out and he sees them dancing in the Sankirtan. He gets mad at them and he takes a stick and how dare you leave the altar? He goes after them. And as Maharaj explains that these deities then jump into his heart, where else they can go, right? To hide, and that's why his name comes as Hriday Chaitanya. But here, this devotee who's named as Dukhi takes initiation from Hriday Chaitanya and he's given the name Dukhi Krishna Das, right? And then under his guidance, he sends him to Vrindavan from West Bengal to learn under Jiva Goswami. And then when he comes to Vrindavan, he meets with Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivas Acharya. So this trio, right? The trio who made the literature that what we read today happen, right? He was one of them. So when he comes there, Jiva Goswami gives him the service of sweeping Seva Kunj. And this uh, Dukhi Krishna Das is to sweep Seva Kunj day in and day out for many, many years. I'll cut it short, we're running out of time. So, and he used to be so grateful, right? And that is one of the qualifications, or that is one of the things that Krishna looks for. That how grateful are we with the service that we have, and like my spiritual master says, he says that gratitude doesn't give rise to bhakti. Gratitude is bhakti, which is I feel very deep. And then he was very grateful that he was getting the service of sweeping Seva Kunj, being bathed every day in the dust of Seva Kunj. And when Krishna sees that you are grateful, then one not only he accepts your service, he also reciprocates with you. And then one fine day, when as he was sweeping, he saw something dazzling and glittering in the bushes, right? And then he goes and he picks it up, and he sees that it is a earring. And as he holds the earring, starts getting ecstatic emotions, and he feels unlimited burst of joy, of ecstatic, pure love for Krishna. And he thinks to himself that this is not ordinary earrings, right? And which in essence, um, we all know that in Vrindavan, even today, there is a Pakat Leela going on, right? Krishna still has their pastimes. So this was actually the uh, earring of Srimati Radharani. And then Radharani notices that she's um, uh, missing uh, one of her jewelry, and then she tells Lalita Sakhi that can you go find this? And then Lalita Sakhi disguises as an old woman and then comes to Dukhi Krishnadas and tells him that, hey, did you find some jewelry here? And then he's like, yes, I did. Here's it. And then like, oh, that belongs to my boss. And can you give that to me? And that's how devotees are smart, right? He said, yeah, I can give, but how about I give it to her directly? That's smart, right? Um, I wish I get to do that sometime. Then he says, okay, well, then obviously Laita Devi, disguised as this woman, gets him in the presence of um, Radharani. And obviously, when one is in presence of Radharani, what will happen? Well, before that, obviously, um, Radharani doesn't associate with any male other than Krishna, right? So Lalita Devi takes him to Lalita Kund, and then when um, he has his dip, he comes out as Kanakamachari, I think. Yeah, that's his name. And then he meets with Srimati Radharani, and then Radharani is so pleased that he did this service, and as a mark of reciprocation, she touches the same jewelry on his forehead, and then um, that forms like a different tilak, and then also gives him a Sham Sundar deity that she manifests herself. And then when he opens his eyes, he's back to being uh, uh, Dukhi Krishna Das, but all now, obviously, there's the extension of the pastime that Radharani names him Shamananda. And then when he comes back, he sees that he has this deity now. And he's also told that not to tell anyone. Right? And the same Krishna and Radharani, they show this vision also to Jiva Goswami, but they're not supposed to tell. So just imagine now, like you're in the devotee circle and you're walking around with a different type of tilak. So if tomorrow I come and start wearing some different sampradaya tilak, you'll be like, "What's wrong with him?" Or if I start wearing something weird, right? It's like, what's going on? But the thing was, nobody could say anything, right? They cannot share what happened actually. Um, and then this somehow the news goes to his spiritual master in Bengal, Hridaya Chaitanya, that hey, your disciple changed his name, he's wearing a different tilak. This is like a nightmare for a spiritual master, Arey, मेरा devotee, my disciple fell off, yeah, गिर गया. So he comes with great trouble from like this is back then from West Bengal to Vrindavan, and then sees what's happening. And here he sees Dukhi Krishnadas with the name of Shamananda, and wearing a different tilak, and he asks Jiva Goswami what's happening. He couldn't tell anything. He's not supposed to tell. And he says, well, if this is some divine arrangement, then this tilak and the name written on his chest will not go away. Thinking that his guru starts rubbing that the tilak and the name, and the more he rubbed, the more it shined brightly. That was a testament that those were divine. And then his guru also then finds out in a vision that this was actually Radharani's pastime. And since then, he was very well and famously known as Shamananda Pandit. Okay, well, we went a little bit over time, but thank you for your patient hearing. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, we'll stop it here. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुपदैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय।